Well, good morning again and again and again. It wasn't long ago that, it was about a year and a half ago, I guess, that I was given some jokes by Mickey Good, who is Michael Good's mother. And they were jokes that she had handwritten, given by Joel Osteen. And I said, thank goodness, I got a lot of jokes. I can use these. And then I lost them. Well, I put them where they belong, in a folder in a book. But I'd forgotten where I'd put them. And I kept looking for them. I kept saying, Vicki, you see them? She said, I haven't seen them. So anyway, this week, I found them. And, And so in finding them, I can say, if they're not good, it's Joel's fault. So let me give you the first one. It's a good joke, too, I'll guarantee you. For most people, it'll be a good joke. There was a burglar who picked this house to break into. It was a night without moonlight. It was really dark. So we went in the house, it was like pitch black. So he turned his flashlight on, and right away it went off. It was out of batteries. And he stood there, and he didn't know the house, and he just stood there for a minute wondering what he should do. And he heard a voice. And it said, Jesus said you should leave. And he stood there, and he said, what? Jesus said you should leave. He said, who said that? And he heard this, I did. So now his curiosity got the best of him. He turned on the light. And there was a parrot in a cage. And he said to the parrot, is your name Jesus? The parrot said, no, my name's not Jesus. My name is Moses. The burglar got to laughing. He said, who in the world would name a parrot Moses? And the parrot said to him, the same person that named our 150-pound Rottweiler Jesus. Anyway, there's a story many of you have seen, some of you have probably heard about, that took place in the Seattle Olympics, the Special Olympics in Seattle a few years back. And there were 9 young children who were at the starting gate to start a 100-yard dash. And each of the children had a form, and I don't call it disability, but a form of limitation physically or mentally. And they were there to race with each other. And they understood what it meant to race. They understood what it meant to win. So they were all excited. One little fellow was so excited that the starter got up and goes, get set, and he took off. The other kids said, come on back, it's okay. Just don't do it again because you'll be disqualified. We're going to just run when we run. So they were already feeling this sense of sportsmanship. And sure enough, the gun went off and they took off. And one little fellow was way out in front. And the further he got out in front, the faster he ran. And all of a sudden, at about the 50-yard marker, he fell down. Skinned his knee, bumped up a little bit, cried a little bit, whimpered a little bit. And the other kids, as they caught him to him, each and every one, all 8 of them, stopped and went over to him. One little girl kissed him on the head and said, you'll feel better later. That's what my mama tells me. Then the most amazing thing happened. They went across the track, linked arm to arm, and they walked all the way to the finish line as the stadium went totally into great jubilation and tears of love. That's the whole idea of going from me to we. You see, we're brought up, most of us, to learn that we are supposed to win. Many times we were brought up to believe that we are to, if somebody wins, somebody has to lose. And when I went into the business world and went into sales, I had a sales manager who said, one of you is going to lose on every appointment. And I thought about that. And the philosophy I came up with is that if everybody doesn't win, then it's not the right thing. And so I used to teach people that what you're doing is you're going in and you're looking for a win-win solution. Because if somebody thinks that I'm going to beat them at something, they feel that energy, they feel that sense. And they don't know why, but they say, no, 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 no. They throw their hands up because they feel that what you're trying to do is put them down, not lift them up. And so we look at this idea of win-win situations, and certainly that was a win-win situation. You know, we like to think we have demonstrated oneness as we grow in consciousness. And as we grow in consciousness, our oneness also grows. But most of the time, our frame of reference is a we-ness that encompasses the immediate family, our closest friends, our culture, our brotherhood, and what we call our tribe. 9/11, all of us probably remember that. The one thing we know is that when America feels threatened, America comes together as one. For better or worse, that's what we do. And we don't always make the best decisions during that time, but we come together as one. That's what I'm talking about. John Lennon pointed out that many times when that happens, we can quickly circle the wagons for our friends or for our family, for our culture or for our tribe when we feel it is threatened. You see, it's out of a sense of fear that we want to defend those with whom we share a sense of oneness. But the truth is that that's not what we do. What we do is we create within ourselves and others not a sense of oneness, but a sense of separation. Because you are against my family, you are against my culture, you are against something, and therefore I must be against you. But that's not, thank God, what we teach. We've been seeing this played out in Charlottesville, in Washington, in Barcelona, in countries throughout the world, in the history of the United States. We've seen this concept played out over and over again. And what we know is, from a spiritual perspective, we have to expand, we must expand our consciousness so that we are evolving into the bigger picture, the truth as Jesus taught us, that we are one with the family of humanity. That's what we really are. And knowing that, we understand that the idea of all humanity as one is not a new idea. That philosophers and shamans, enlightened ones all have declared we are one. That the only thing that gets in the way of that is our thinking. Because we think through our five senses and we believe we are separated. We look separated, but we really are not. We truly are created in oneness, and we are one. We just have to peel back some of the layers of misconception in order to know that and experience that. We have to learn to know that unconditional love is not an impossibility. Expand our thinking. We have to come to know that Jesus' teaching is not exclusive, but inclusive. He accepted everybody. And yet many of us were raised with the idea that we were exclusive. That we were the only ones on the way to heaven, wherever that was. And we missed, and I think religion in many ways has missed the whole idea of what Jesus was teaching. Because they focus on Jesus so much and not what he was teaching. And so we must give any thoughts of separation, and we've got to cling to, if you would, the idea that 1 + 1 is 1. The author of Do Nothing, Stop Looking, Start Living, Damian Mark Smythe, says, we are one. We've always been one. We'll always be one until we think we are not. And herein lies our challenge. We are one, but we think we are separate. We have forgotten our oneness. As a result of forgetting this oneness, you see, we create this illusionary world of duality, this illusionary world that we are separate, this illusionary world that says, I've got to be right when I think you are wrong. And as we do that, it leads to disagreements, which leads to conflict and wars, and what looks like wars in the street sometimes. Because we carry out this mistaken belief of being separate. When we realize we are one, who and what is there to fight against? You see, on a cosmic level, one person wrote, 2 people fighting is as ridiculous as if your hands decided they don't like each other and started fighting. Now, how many have had that? You know, walking down the street. Yeah, okay, fine. If you did, see a doctor. But anyway, you know, it's ridiculous. And yet, we think 2 people fighting, sometimes we think it's okay. John Lennon simplified oneness as, I am he, as you are he, as you are me, and we are all together. He wrote in the song Imagination, we saw no religion, no governments, no nationalism, only oneness. Powerful thought. The only thing I would take exception on, I believe that we can create a world of oneness even if we have different religions, even if we have different governments, even if we have different opinions on different things. But we can create a world that works for all by honoring one another, loving each other, and affirming that through dialogue we will come together in our oneness. We will find each other in the true nature of what we are, which are spiritual beings. The Bhagavad Gita says, I said it right in 9 o'clock service, if you can see God, the oneness in everyone, you can never do harm to anyone. Isn't that what Gandhi was saying? Isn't that what King has been saying? Isn't that what Jesus said? Isn't that what the Buddha said? We can go on and on. That if you really see yourself as a brotherhood and sisterhood of humankind, how can you do any harm to one another? It only happens when we think we are separated. And so what we're doing is learning to treat others as we want others to treat us. Here are a few ideas on how maybe we can start to bring that together. The first thing is the idea of the word namaste, which is accompanied by bringing the palms together in the front of your heart, and when meeting or taking leave of someone, you say namaste. Namaste, excuse me. Boy, this is a tough day. Namaste. And as you say namaste, what you do is you recognize, and what this means, I recognize the divinity in you, and I also know the divinity in me is meeting you at the heart level. That's what it really means. And it says, we are one. And in unity, we say it this way, I behold the Christ in you. Now, there's some folks that I don't say that to because it would be an insult to them, and I want to honor them. But I can say, namaste. And when I do that, what happens is they feel that, they understand that. Now, I can say to many of you, I behold the Christ in you. We say it here. You understand what I mean by that. That I behold you as God created you in love and perfection. That I hold you with the potential that you have to be one with each and every person. Then the next thing is to think oneness. And by the way, if don't go to work tomorrow and say namaste, namaste, namaste. If you've never done it before, okay? But what you can do is think namaste, namaste. And when somebody's disagreeing with you, when you have a challenge, namaste. It'll set an intention. It'll set an intention that they feel even though you don't use the words. And then Chief Crazy Horse of the Sioux said this, I salute the light within your eyes where the whole universe dwells. For when you are at the center within you and I am at the place within me, we shall be one. This was a savage, supposedly. Yeah. This was a spiritual being speaking after being challenged with many adversities. You know, we've all had random, unexpected glimpses of oneness. I imagine everybody in here has either gone to the beach or the mountains and experienced a sunset or a sunrise that just left you in awe, where you felt something unique had happened, where you really felt at one with that sunset, at one with the sunrise, at one with the mountain, and at one with everybody around you. That is oneness. Maybe you have had experience with a newborn child, of when the first time you saw your child and held your child, you said yes, and you were just so, your mind was blown for the great love that you felt for this child. Now, our oldest daughter is adopted through my first marriage. And I still remember with great joy the day she was brought to our home. We knew she was coming to our home. We didn't know when, because she had a stomach virus. And in that day and time, I don't know what they do now, but they would not let that child go until the child was supposedly totally perfect and totally healthy. And she is. But anyway, the social worker walked up to the front door. I opened the front door, ran to the front door, got there before my wife did. And I took the baby in my arms right out of the social worker's name. And I said, "You are Kim." And I went and sat down in a rocker chair. And I knew in that moment I felt one with this child, with this beautiful baby. I mean, how do you not feel one with a baby, right? I mean, you got to work. You really got to work at it, guys, okay? And I felt it. And finally, my wife came over and said, "Can I hold her?" And about an hour later, I let her. No, anyway. So, you see, it's in a time like that, we feel that oneness. We have that holy instant. We have that moment where we are so attached to all that is that we can't even describe it adequately afterwards. That's what oneness, and everybody sitting here has experienced oneness in some form or fashion. And just remember when you said, "That took my breath away," or "Time stood still in that moment," you are in oneness. And so we think and we look for oneness. And as we do, we create a state of being of oneness. Einstein died trying to prove the unified field theory, a belief that all life and matter are united by an underlying energy or consciousness. And over time, our quantum physicists have come to know that and have experimented with it and have proven it literally through different demonstrations. And what they understand is that we are energy, that every atom in our body is energy, that the nucleus of the atom is energy, that every cell in our body is energy, or organism in our body is energy at work, doing its thing the way it's supposed to. And it's all driven by love. And as they came upon that, understood that, they started to say, this energy, this experience is so essential to each and every one of us that we should call it spirit, which many have been doing for centuries. The third thing I'd recommend to you is build community. Be in a community with who will support you, who will pray for you, a community that teaches oneness, that teaches us to embrace life itself, that every moment is a sacred moment and everything that happens to us is sacred. Teaches us love, teaches us harmony, teaches the power of positive and regressive thoughts that will transform your thinking as you connect to the oneness you and I are. We are one, we are loved, we are nonviolent, and will stand for truth, for love, for kindness, for dialogue, for oneness. And the next thing that we can do is meditate, pray. And we do that by being honest with ourselves when we need to say, "Oh, let me overcome my unbelief." And when we admit that, we can say that has no power over me. We can deny any power that has over us, and we can step into the truth of who and what we are. So, in meditation, I would suggest spend time daily looking for oneness, seeking the experience of oneness, seeking to find the secret place on high where your heart and the source of all creation come together in that oneness, called in the Course in Miracles the holy instant. And even further, when you see another person and experience that, you are experiencing the holy instant, because that's what relationships are for. Now, I don't know. Some people say, well, I really don't meditate that long. I don't meditate. I just want to recommend something to you for the next few weeks. Meditate 1 minute a day. Is there anybody who cannot meditate 1 minute a day in here? No, everybody's scared to raise their hand. No, anyway. That's right. We can all do that 1 minute. And let me give you a great example of that. I was at a gala dinner a couple of weeks ago, and Tony Dolan shared this story. And I would call it the power of meditation. Tony said that when she was pregnant with her first child, that she was really in fear of a long labor and a painful birth. And so she went to a spiritual leader, and they said, well, meditate. Meditate for 15 minutes a day, and you will not have that experience if you affirm and look at what you can have, which is a beautiful, beautiful, short labor and very little pain, and the baby comes in the world. And Tony said, well, I only got a problem with that is I don't know how to meditate 15 minutes. I don't think I can do that. He said, what can you do? And she said, I can meditate 1 minute a day. He said, okay, do it for 1 minute. And she did. She did it for 9 months, just about, for 1 minute a day. She said she cheated every once in a while and did it 2 times during the day, which gave her 2 minutes. But she focused on it. And here's what happened. When she was ready to have the child, she told her husband that the water had broken and that she needed to get to the hospital. But she wasn't feeling any pain. She just knew it was time. And he got ballistic just about. Driving to the hospital, all excited, coming apart at the seams. And she said they got to the hospital and 5 attendants came out to take care of her. When they saw her husband, 4 of them moved over to take care of him, and 1 stayed with her. But here's the beauty of what happened. Short labor. Little or no pain. And a beautiful child came into the world. Because she meditated 1 minute a day. Meditate and ask for oneness. Meditate and ask to experience that oneness. And I believe with all my heart that you will. I have. And now I'm praying again and saying, I'd like to do that again. I've been doing that for 2 months. A little more than a minute. I've had some sense of oneness, but kind of a movement of oneness. But I haven't experienced what I've experienced in the past. Maybe I'm not supposed to. But I'm experiencing something, and at the right and perfect moment, I will experience all that God is, all that you are, all that we are, which is powerful beyond words. So let's just do exactly what I talked about. Let's take a couple minutes and go into meditation. And as we go into this time of meditation, I just offer you this opportunity to relax, to take in a nice deep breath, and release that breath. Let's take in another nice deep breath, and release